Welcome to Hot Flash's Menopause Monologues. I'm Helen Quigley, and this is a podcast made from inspiration and perspiration. Each episode features 2 monologues about menopause, and I ask the writer and my friend Helena Jevons about the story behind them. In the not quite final episode of this series, we have all the Helens or Helenas. Wherever I go and whatever I do, I always seem to end up in a room with a Helen or a Helena, and this episode is no exception. I say not quite the end, as while this is the last episode featuring the pre-recorded monologues, you can hear many of them performed live, as well as some new ones, at our Hot Flashers Menopause Monologues event at Ironworks Studios in Brighton on the 13th of April. Tickets are available from Eventbrite via the venue's website at ironworks-studios.co.uk. In this episode, the author herself steps behind the microphone to perform NuVag TM. I'm not saying any more about this, it does what it says on the tin. Or vag. Before that is an out-of-this-world monologue performed by the stellar Helen Goldwyn, as an alien reporting back to their senior management about a little green and blue planet, and the weird biological stuff half of its human population has to endure. But first we need to agree on what the monologue is called.
Is it, I said QUORK-7, you said QUORK-7, and then QUORK-X7.
I think we can choose whichever one of those you want.
I was inclined to go QUORK-7 when I read it, but
the name was sort of inspired by whatever the it's dreadful, isn't it? By Elon Musk's naming of his child, and I was trying to come up with something that had some sequence of letters and numbers, and so I just, again, this was at 4 a.m, but this was much more recent. This was after we'd started working on the monologues that are really much more directly derived from women's experiences, which is most of what the first book is about. It's the second book that starts to go into. So this one is about...
it's an objective view from a very different perspective, isn't it?
It's an objective view from a very logical alien visitor who has visited the planet with a specific mission from the Galactic Council of observing Earth and any unusual rituals and cultural memes that are going on Earth, and reporting back. And
so it's quite a silly one, isn't it, really? It's
quite
not meant
silly.
to be taken too seriously.
Not really, no. So he has come back, and it's his report to the Galactic Council.
Oh, it's a he?
About... Oh, no, I don't know, is it?
I know you said he.
I did just say he.
Oh, they?
I've never really thought about the gender, I just wrote it. Isn't that interesting? So QUORK-X7, this is definitely a creative flight fancy, has been visiting Earth on behalf of the Galactic Council. And it's their report back on what they've found on Earth, and they're particularly bemused, I think would be the best word to use, by menopause. And they are talking about exactly how humans have culturally constructed menopause, what happens in menopause, in quite sort of technical, computer-y type language. And I think it's very fun.
Greetings, esteemed colleagues of the Galactic Council. I bring you today's report on my recent expedition to Earth, a potential green space for new development. It's a quaint little planet with fascinating inhabitants. Their biology, while primitive, is endlessly perplexing. Among all the peculiarities I observed, one phenomenon stood out as particularly curious. They call it menopause. This is a biological event experienced primarily by human females, and, intriguingly, 2 other mammal species, orcas and pilot whales. The humans, of course, have made it into a cultural phenomenon. It's both a curse and a badge of honor, depending on whom you ask and how much wine they've had. Allow me to explain. Menopause occurs roughly halfway through a human female's expected lifespan. Her reproductive functions, arguably a key evolutionary purpose, simply shut down. Poof! Gone. Now, We, as a species with perfectly cellular regeneration, find this utterly baffling. Why would a being sacrifice its ability to reproduce? Surely that's counterproductive to survival. Yet humans have managed to make it work, though not without considerable grumbling. The symptoms alone are a masterclass in bodily indiscipline, as if circuit boards are melting down. So, hot flashes. Imagine, if you will, your internal temperature regulator suddenly breaking and deciding that you are, at random intervals, a supernova. The human females describe it as feeling as though they are being set on fire from the inside out. They have reported brain fog, a delightful euphemism for cognitive malfunctions. These females forget where they have left their keys, devices used for unlocking their nests, and primitive transportation units. They often walk into rooms and forget why they entered, a behavior that, in any other species, would indicate neurological decline. Yet humans consider it normal. Mood swings. Their emotional stability fluctuates wildly, flailing from tears over something called TikTok, showing tiny cow videos, to rage over the mere sound of someone chewing. I observed one human female yelling at her offspring for leaving the milk out. Moments later, she hugged the same offspring, sobbing about how quickly they were growing up. The offspring looked concerned. But the most perplexing aspect of menopause is its purpose, or apparent lack thereof. After extensive observation, I've concluded that menopause provides no immediate benefit to the individual experiencing it. Instead, it benefits the larger social group. By ceasing reproduction, the female can focus her energy on supporting her existing offspring and their offspring. She becomes a nurturer, a guide, a repository of wisdom. Though, admittedly, sometimes a very sweaty and irritable one. But here is where things take an even more fascinating turn. Menopause, while biologically inconvenient, has become a cultural wellspring. Humans have written books, created films, recorded podcasts, and even staged comedic performances about it. They've turned their collective suffering into a shared experience, one that bonds them, turning a biological flaw into a source of humor and solidarity. If nothing else, humans are resourceful. Still, I wonder if they could do without it entirely. If our species experienced menopause, we'd have engineered a solution millennia ago. Hormonal stabilizers, perhaps, or a downloadable consciousness that skips the whole biological decline nonsense. Our friends the Cyberlex pioneered that millennia ago. Yet humans, in their stubbornness, embrace it, or at least tolerate it, because they see value in the transformation. Transformation. That is the key. They don't just endure menopause, they grow through it. They use it to redefine themselves. The younger ones seek wisdom from those who've lived it, and the older ones share their stories. Loudly and often, I might add. Especially after more wine. And so I propose we study this phenomenon further. Not to replicate it, of course. None of us wish to be sweaty and forgetful. But to understand what it teaches about resilience and adaptation. After all, if humans can take something as absurd as menopause and turn it into a force for connection and survival, imagine what else they might achieve. Perhaps their chaotic little planet is worth preserving. That concludes my report. I welcome your questions. Though I assure you, the answer to most will be, yes, they really do that.
And the last one, you've told me nothing about this one. So I've seen scripts. I've seen all of the monologues so far. This is the only one I have not seen the text of.
So this is
How do you say that?
NuVag.
Right.
NuVag TM. NuVag TM was the rebranding of a close friend of mine's extreme operation to rebuild her vagina, having had 2
Large.
children whilst
Large
menopausal.
children.
And so they rebranded. Well, they decided to call this project in their supportive, friendly way, NuVag TM. And they created the branding for the NuVag TM. They offered should we have a ribbon to cut for the reopening of NuVag TM? And it became a whole thing. And it was very funny. So this is, again, slightly fictionalised, but this is the work of very close friends of mine.
You know, you think childbirth is going to be this magical, life-affirming experience, don't you? All glowing smiles and cinematic slow motion. What they don't tell you is that it's also a demolition derby for your downstairs area, especially if you're perimenopausal and everything's a little bit closer to its actual expiry date with not so much elastic left. My little darling didn't just arrive, he made an entrance. At home, while my partner was at Morrison's, in 15 minutes from start to finish. Late childbirth, they said. A miracle, they said. Well, let me tell you, this miracle came with some problems that was so dramatic, I'm surprised they didn't have their own understudy. So there I was, post-birth, sitting on one of those donut cushions, praying for a time machine to undo my life choices. Everything was fine, they said. No tearing, they said. Hadn't I done so well with my hypnobirthing, they said. A few years later, I wasn't sure everything was fine, and when my gynaecologist took a look, she barely managed not to wince, and says, with that face, you know, the one they make when they're about to deliver bad news, but they're still trying to sound perky, she says, "Well, Helen, we'll need to do some reconstructive surgery to get things back in order, but don't worry, you'll be as good as new." Good as new? Really? This wasn't a pair of old shoes we were talking about. This was my vagina. My original vagina. The one I've had since birth. The one that got me through adolescence, bad decisions in my 20s, and finally my husband. And now it needed a replacement? I wasn't thrilled. Naturally, I told my 4 best friends. You'd think they'd comfort me, wouldn't you? Offer some sympathy, maybe some chocolate. No, not my lot. Instead, they decided to brand my reconstructive journey. They called it, wait for it, NuVag TM. That's right, NuVag. Trademarked. They even designed a logo, a phoenix rising majestically from a bed of Kegel weights. Justine, who works in marketing, said we should pitch it to Dragon's Den. Oh, Helen, they said. This is your chance for reinvention. Like a midlife glow-up, but for your bits. Reinvention? I wasn't trying to start a new career. I just wanted to be able to sit on a chair without wincing. And it didn't stop there. They threw me a NuVag shower before the surgery. A shower like I was having a baby all over again. They gave me a sash that says Vag 2.0 and a cake in the shape of, well, it was red velvet, because of course it was. And the gifts. Justine got me a gift card for yoga classes because you'll want to maintain that flexibility now, darling. Pippa, ever the practical one, the doctor, bought me industrial strength ice packs. You'll need them, she said, completely deadpan. And they double as wine coolers. Sarah went full Pinterest mum and made me a care package labelled Helen's Post-Snip Survival Kit. It had everything: lavender oil, bath salts, a copy of 50 Shades of Grey, which she thought was hilarious, and an eye mask with the words, "Let's restitch this bitch," embroidered on it. But the pièce de résistance was Sue's. She'd had a phase as a silversmith and went rogue and decided to get me a custom piece of jewellery. She had a necklace made with a tiny, sparkly charm shaped like a pair of scissors. She said it was symbolic, Now, to be fair, the surgery went well. The surgeon did an incredible job. It's not quite the original model, but it's functional. And apparently better than ever, according to my husband, who is now terrified of saying the wrong thing. Though he did, of course, joke that I should have gone for the deluxe package with a Bluetooth speaker and asked if he could cut a ribbon for the reopening. And my friends, they're still calling it NuVag TM. Suze has even suggested starting a support group for women in the same situation. She wants to call it the Stitch Sisters. She's already got the t-shirts printed. But here's the thing. As ridiculous as they are, those women kept me laughing through what could be a really, really tough time. They turned something painful into something we could laugh about, something we could share. And that's the thing about friendship, isn't it? It's not just about showing up for the big moments. It's about making those moments bearable. Even if that means branding your best friend's vagina and baking an anatomically questionable cake. So, it might not have been the journey I expected, but at least it came with aromatherapy oils and a self-defense necklace.
In this episode of Hot Flashes Menopause Monologues, QUORK-X7 was performed by Helen Goldwyn and NuVag TM was performed by Helena Jevons. For more about the books, the podcast and the Hot Flashes live show at Ironworks Studios in Brighton, visit hotflashes.info. Buy your tickets and look out for the special episode recorded live at the event coming soon. If you are enjoying Hot Flashes, please do share it online with your hot and sleep-deprived friends and also in real life for anyone who might like it too. Hot Flashes is produced by me, Helen Quigley, and is a Soundliness production.